In the last 2 weeks, we have gotten some solid DLC from well, because I'm going to make a video out of this. I don't know how I want to do this. Wait, let me think. Let's talk about DLC. In the last 2 weeks, we have gotten some solid DLC from the Tekken and Street Fighter products, right? What are your thoughts on the new characters that have released, and are we doing DLC the right way? Are we going in the right direction? The second part of this question is, are we moving too fast or not fast enough in the FGC? I was about to say the FGC. The FGC right now. Whether it's the DLC releases, the games themselves being released, or the amount of content pushed. What are your guys' thoughts on that? And I've gotten a lot of thoughts from the community on that, and I'm just gonna kind of collectively put some things and some thoughts together from my perspective that I have. So the first part of this is, I think it's a generational thing. One of the things that I said to one of the guys in the Discord that responded was, your take is because this is all you know. One of the things that he had mentioned, I'm not going to put him on blast because I don't want you to beat him up, nor do I think you're going to beat him up, but I'm just talking here and being a little funny. He said that what's the difference between DLC and what's the difference between Street Fighter releasing every single day? I feel like a lot of the DLC is fine. And my argument is that the game was complete. And it feels like we're not getting complete games. And his argument was like, no, but DLC doesn't mean the game isn't complete. It just means that we're adding more content to the DLC that we have. Or not the DLC we have, the content that we have, right? And I would have to agree with him if he didn't live in the 90s. And my argument to that is, when it comes to, we had complete games compared to what we have right now, and I can list a whole bunch of games that are incomplete, but that's not really my point right now, because it's gonna lead to other things. We had complete games. He said, what about Street Fighter 2? Street Fighter 2 was not a complete game. I was like, yes, it was. You can go in and play it, and it is what it is. It was what it was. That was the game. You had a total of 8 characters, and you go across the world and fight everybody across the world. You fight your friends, and then you go off to the next one. The reason why they released a new game, if you want to call it that, and you want to say it's DLC, is because the mechanics changed. Were the games similar? Sure, but the mechanics changed. So if you take Street Fighter 2, skip all the iterations in between Street Fighter 2, and you go to Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Hyper Fighting, New Challengers, whatever that last one was before they started getting to HD Remix, you had 2 totally different games. But the first Street Fighter 2, you can ultimately play as a complete game, and people still play it that way. It has no combo little system in the corner or anything like that, but you still can play it as a complete game. Whereas the other one, it has supers, it has a combo mechanic, there's a couple other new ways to play the game, so ultimately it's a completely new game. Almost in the same sense that you take the Street Fighter Alpha series, and the only difference is in the Alpha series, they said, here goes Alpha 1, 2, and 3. They could have called it Street Fighter Alpha, Street Fighter Alpha Turbo, and Street Fighter Alpha Hyper Fighting New Challengers. They could have done that, but they chose to number it instead. You can do that. You can use the same example for the KOF. Essentially, KOF released a new game from 1994 all the way into 2002 or whatever, number you want to put out there. And it just slowly evolved. And ultimately, it was a new game. If you compare King of Fighters 94 to King of Fighters 96, what do you get? You get two different games. But if you play them gradually, it doesn't really seem like the games are getting better. But if you take everything else out in between, they're totally different games. And even then, from 96 to KOF 13, totally different games. So there isn't any DLC that is needed, and they are complete. So I say that to get to the thing we talked about, Harada. Tekken 8. Hey, why are people upset? You know what Tekken 8 is about. You know that Bandai Namco is about money. Why are we mad? And I'll tell you why we are mad right now. And the reason why we're mad right now is because the game doesn't feel complete. There's constant updates and tweaks within the game, and it's still the same game. You released a game that's unbalanced. You released a game that doesn't have all the stages. You released a game that characters that are normally staples in said game are being used as DLC to pay for. Lydia, pushing it. Heihachi, Eddie Gordo, absolutely not. Tekken Story Mode, sure. You added additional content. You added a whole new story for the content that is there, right? That originally wasn't there, and it adds to. But those characters that you have, let's go all the way back to Tekken 3, again, which is a complete game. Tekken 3, you unlock all the characters just by playing the game, and you do a special thing to unlock characters like Gon and Dr. Boskanovich. I know you guys remember that. In addition to that, you go in and play a particular character X amount of times, and you will unlock a new stage. You unlock ball mode. You unlock all these things. And the game back then, what was $40, something like that? Nothing outrageous or anything, but you got a full game and a lot of content out of it. What, Tekken 3 released 1990, what, 96, 97 time frame? And Tekken 4 didn't release until the PlayStation 2 came out, and it came out, what, maybe 1 or 2 years after the release of PlayStation 2. So there was still a gap in between to say, hey, there was a complete game there. They didn't do a Tekken 3 hyper digital remix. It was a complete game. And then when it was time to give a new one, they gave a new one. I guess the only exception to a rule during that time is Virtua Fighter, which they did do that, but it was an upgrade in graphics that made it a different game. So what was it, Virtua Fighter 2 or Virtua Fighter 1? I can't remember, let me know in the comments. But Virtua Fighter 2 and Virtua Fighter 1 did that. They said, I want to say they did. They had the original version, and then they had a remastered version for purchase. And it just looked a little bit better. And whether you bought it or not, totally different thing, but the gameplay was the exact same thing. That's, to me, is what DLC is today, essentially. Granted, theirs was a graphical upgrade, but still, that's what DLC is. And you kind of feel bamboozled and hosed by that. So Tekken, I think, has done that. So now, let's go back to what the original question was. Do we feel that within the FGC, we're getting the slow drip, or we're getting the DLC or games released at a rapid rate, and we're getting our money's worth, and are we enjoying it? For me, this is just me, I think it's just fine. You buy the game that you like, and if you commit to that game, you're gonna buy all the stuff with it. We're as much as people say we should have as many games as we possibly can. Realistically, that's not true. If I'm not mistaken, 1999, they released 22 fighting games from different companies. Did we play all 22 fighting games in said companies? No. We picked the ones that we liked, we invested in those games, and we just moved forward. And we got the peripherals, we got the t-shirt to go along with it. I mean, even look at the Nintendo 64. You shouldn't have had to get a Rumble Pack to go along with Star Fox. But here we are with the Rumble Pack that goes along with Star Fox. And you bought the Rumble Pack with Star Fox if you were truly committed to that game. If not, you just bought Star Fox. It is what it is. So my advice to those of you that are complaining and all that other good stuff, just get the games that you like and the games that you're committed to. Go to your locals, go to your friend's house, play the games that you're unsure of. And then once you are sure of the game that you like, commit to it and spend as much money as you want to. I.e. Destiny. Destiny's been out a long time. And people spend a lot of money in Destiny. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think we should just learn to pick our battles. I get it. We bought the deluxe edition for $100, and now we have to buy the stages for about $5 more. Yeah, it sucks. But I'm committed, and I'm gonna stick with Tekken. I'm gonna stick with Street Fighter, and I'm gonna continue to shell money into those games. I guess I'm the problem for you guys that don't want to spend the money, but I'm gonna continue to spend money in those games because the more money that we put in the games, the better the games are gonna be in the long run. The only exception to the rule right now for me is NetherRealm Studios, and NetherRealm Studios, boy oh boy, you guys are some cash grabbers. Oh my gosh, I don't like you guys right now. But anyways, let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. Success and victory don't block with your face. I will see you guys on the next time. Peace out.